Hello there again. Today in Literacy with Mr. F, we're going to be looking at instructional writing. So today our objective is to understand the features of instructions. To be successful in today's lesson, we're going to see if we can name some of the features that we'd find in a set of instructions. We're going to see if we can identify those features. So if I showed you a sentence with some of those features in, you'd be able to point out them to me. We're going to see if we can add the correct features to a set of instructions, and we're going to see if we can up-level our vocabulary choices. Now, yesterday we started looking at a new text which was written by Roald Dahl called George's Marvellous Medicines, and we're going to look at another part of that today. And this is the part where George is going to be actually creating his medicines. So we're going to think about what he has to add into his medicine, and then we can think about what instructions we need to give somebody if they wanted to make that medicine for themselves.
George put the saucepan on the floor and went to work. Number 1 was a bottle labelled Golden Gloss Hair Shampoo. He emptied it into the pan. That ought to wash the old tummy nice and clean, he said. He took a full tube of toothpaste and squeezed the whole lot of it into one long worm. Maybe that will brighten up those horrid brown teeth of hers, he said. There was an aerosol can of super foam shaving soap belonging to his father. George loved playing with aerosols. He pressed the button and kept his finger on it until there was nothing left. A wonderful mountain of white foam built up in the giant saucepan. With his fingers, he scooped out the contents of a jar of vitamin-enriched face cream. It went in a small bottle of scarlet nail varnish. If the toothpaste doesn't clean our teeth, George said, then this will paint them as red as roses. He found another jar of creamy stuff labelled hair remover. Smear it on your legs, it said, and allow to remain for 5 minutes. George tipped it all into the saucepan. There was a bottle of yellow stuff inside it, called Dishworth's famous dandruff cure. In it went. There was something called Brilliant for cleaning false teeth. It was a white powder. In that went too. He found another aerosol can. Never more ponking deodorant spray guaranteed, it said, to keep away unpleasant body smells for the whole day. She could use plenty of that, George said as he sprayed the entire canful into the saucepan. Liquid paraffin, the next one was called. It was a big bottle. He hadn't the faintest idea what it did to you, but he poured it in anyway. That, he thought, looking around him, was all from the bathroom. On his mother's dressing table in the bedroom, George found yet another lovely aerosol can. It was called Helga's Hair Set. Hold 12 inches away from the hair and spray lightly. He squirted the whole lot of it into the saucepan. He did enjoy squirting those aerosols. There was a bottle of perfume called Flowers of Turnips. It smelled of old cheese. In it went. And in too went a large round box of powder. It was called Pink Plaster. There was a powder puff on top, and he threw that in as well for luck. He found a couple of lipsticks. He pulled the greasy red things out of their little cases and added them to the mixture. The bedroom had nothing more to offer, so George carried the enormous saucepan downstairs again and trotted into the laundry room, where the shelves were full of all kinds of household items. The first one he took down was a large box of super white for automatic washing machines. Dirt, it said, will disappear like magic. George didn't know whether Grandma was automatic or not, but she said she was certainly a dirty old woman, so she better have it all, he said, tipping in the whole box full. Then there was a big tin of Waxwell floor polish. It removes filth and foul messes from your floor and leaves everything shiny and bright, it said. George scooped the orange-coloured waxy stuff out of the tin and plonked it into the pan. There was a round cardboard carton labelled flea powder for dogs. Keep well away from the dog's food, it said, because this powder, if eaten, will make the dog explode. Good, said George, pouring it all into the saucepan. He found a box of canary seed on the shelf. Perhaps it'll make the old birds sing, he said, and in it went.
Okay, so on my screen I've got some of the ingredients that George needed to add to make his marvellous medicine. And underneath that, I've got my first instruction about how to actually make that medicine. And then you'll notice that I've underlined some of the words in this set of instructions here. So let's read the instruction first and then work out what type of words I've used in those sentences. So it says, first, you need to carefully pour the hair shampoo into the bowl. When we're writing instructions, we need to tell people what to do, which means we need to use verbs. Verbs are doing words about what people should do. And if they're in instructions, they're bossy verbs, they're imperative verbs that tell you what you need to do. So which of those words tells me what I need to do? Oh, it's this one. Pour. That's what I need to do. I need to pour the shampoo into the bowl. So pour is my imperative verb. Let's have a think about which one of those words tells me how I need to pour that. How I need to pour that would be an adverb, because adverbs describe how we can do an action. I think the one that's the adverb is carefully. Carefully tells me how I need to pour that hair shampoo into the bowl. I need to do it absolutely carefully so that I don't spill any. Now I've got 3 more words. I've got first, need, and then hair shampoo underneath there. So hair shampoo is the actual object, isn't it, that I need to put in there. And if it's an object, that means it's got to be a noun. If it's one word, then that would be a noun. If it's more than one word that makes the thing, it's called a noun phrase. So whenever you're putting something into your ingredients, you need to put the noun or the noun phrase into it. So I'm going to label that with noun or noun phrase. The hair shampoo is the thing that I need to put into the medicine. Starting off my sentence with first, that gives me an order of when I need to do things. And for a set of instructions, when you're ordering the time that it happens, you're using something called time connectives. So time connectives are going to go there. At the very start of my sentence, usually, I put a time connective to help me order what's going to happen. Then there's this final word here. I don't think I've looked at this with you before. If you're saying about how likely something is to happen, it is still a verb because it's telling you what you should do. But if you're using a word like should, or need, or must, or could, it tells you how likely that thing is to happen. That's called a modal verb. So sometimes in your instructions you might want to use a modal verb along with an imperative verb. You need to do this, you should do this, you could do this, you might do that. Any of those words would be modal verbs. So now that we've labelled all of those different things, we're going to see if we can work out what words we could add to our own instructions. Let's take those down. So already we've read this one together. Now the second thing I want to do for my set of instructions. You should squeeze the toothpaste and mix it thoroughly. Mixing is a verb. Thoroughly tells me how to do it, so that's an adverb. I've got something missing at the start. You should squeeze. I think that's telling me when to do it, isn't it? So that's got to be a time connective. What time connective could you add to that part of the sentence there? Did you think of one? I've got quite a few you could use. I've already used first, so I could use second or secondly. I could use next, after that, then, after. Any of those would be really good time connectives to use to order my instructions. You should squeeze the toothpaste. Oh, it's telling me how to squeeze the toothpaste. If I'm squeezing the toothpaste, what do I need to be? Or what do I need to do? I think I need to do it quite firmly. Firmly squeeze the toothpaste, and that's going to get it into the bowl carefully. So firmly would be a really good adverb to add there. Maybe you thought of your own as well. And then finally, for the third instruction, after that, the shaving soap and face cream. What do I do with the shaving soap and face cream when I'm putting it into the bowl? I'm adding it, aren't I? So I could say after that, add the shaving soap and face cream. I could say mix in. I could say put in. Any of those things which telling me what to do would be an imperative verb. So now, what I'd like you to do for your task is to go back to DB Primary. I'd like to download the task. In this task, there's some sentences to make some instructions, but there'll be some time connectives, imperative verbs, adverbs missing. So you'll need to add those into the instructions. And after that, I wonder if you can keep the instructions going, remembering to use each of the features, the time connectives, the adverbs, the imperative verbs, obviously using a noun, and maybe you could try and use a modal verb as well to say how likely or how you should do it or might do it. When you finish that, come back here and we'll have a look at the open together. Okay, so today our objective was to understand the features of instructions. I hope you're able to understand some of the features. Are you able now to name some of the features which you're likely to find in a set of instructions? Can you identify them? If you were to read some instructions, would you be able to find some of the things like the imperative verbs, like the time connectives? Were you able to add correct features to your set of instructions? And did you up-level your vocabulary choices? Have a think about what you need to work on a little bit more for the rest of the week.